You see that up there in the corner? Just a big puddle of gold on the edge there. That's really cool. God, seeing this right off the bat, I bet we might find some really nice ones.
The Klondike's frozen wilderness was especially brutal that morning. Parker Schnabel and his crew were already worn down, dealing with failing machinery, sinking ground, and the weight of an entire season pressing on their backs. Nothing about the day hinted at success. Every scoop of dirt felt like a reminder that the gold they desperately needed might never show up. But everything changed in one earth-shaking instant. While Parker was cutting into a fresh stretch of pay dirt, his excavator suddenly lurched. The entire machine jolted so violently it nearly stalled. The bucket had slammed into something unbelievably heavy, something dense enough to stop the excavator cold. At first, Parker assumed it was just another stubborn boulder. The crew gathered around as the dust settled, prepared for disappointment. But then they saw it. A flash of blinding gold beneath the dirt. What came out wasn't a nugget. It wasn't even a large chunk. It was a massive, naturally formed $90 million gold megastructure, a piece so huge and so impossibly rare that the entire crew fell silent. The formation twisted through the ground like a golden spine, the kind of structure nature hadn't created in millions of years. Parker just stared, frozen in disbelief. The day had started like any other in the harsh heart of the Klondike, cold, stiff, and relentlessly unforgiving. Parker stepped onto the muddy claim before sunrise, expecting nothing more than another grueling shift. The excavators were still strained from yesterday's work. The wash plant needed constant attention, and the pay dirt they'd been running all week wasn't producing anywhere near what they needed. Every ounce mattered, and they were falling behind fast. By mid-morning, frustration blanketed the camp. Rick was tightening bolts on the sluice box, Mitch was coaxing a failing dozer to stay in gear, and Parker climbed into his excavator, determined to squeeze at least a small victory from the stubborn ground. The bucket cut into the earth with its usual metallic scrape, until everything stopped. The entire machine shuddered. At first, Parker thought he'd simply hit a buried rock. It wouldn't have been the first time the ground fought back. But this felt different. The bucket hadn't just met resistance. It had hit massive weight, immovable weight, the kind of impact every operator feels in their bones. He pulled the boom back, dust swirling off the bucket's teeth, and then he saw it. A faint shimmer. Gold never shouts at first. It glows quietly, almost defiantly, as if it knows it shouldn't exist in such abundance. Parker leaned forward, heart pounding, and signaled the crew. They rushed over with shovels, pry bars, and even their bare hands, digging to uncover more. And the more they exposed, the stranger it became. This wasn't a nugget. It wasn't a chunk. It was the surface of something immense, like the exposed backbone of a buried giant made entirely of gold. Suddenly, the coal didn't matter. The broken equipment didn't matter. Their disappointing gold recovery didn't matter. For the first time all season, the ground was finally giving something back. The crew felt it, the tension, the possibility, the electric heartbeat of a discovery only miners truly understand. They didn't yet know they were standing on top of a $90 million gold megastructure, but they knew something monumental had happened. And as Parker stared into that impossible golden glow, the real story began. One that would pull them deeper into danger, deeper into history, and deeper into the next chapter of an unbelievable discovery. In the unforgiving heart of the Klondike, the morning began just as cold and relentless as any other. Before sunrise, Parker Schnabel stepped onto the muddy claim, bracing himself for yet another exhausting day. The excavators were still straining from the previous shift, the wash plant demanded constant attention, and the pay dirt they'd been running all week wasn't producing even close to what the season required. Every ounce of gold mattered, and they were slipping behind. By mid-morning, frustration hung over the camp like frost. Rick was tightening bolts along the sluice box, Mitch was coaxing a stubborn dozer that refused to stay in gear, and Parker climbed into his excavator, determined to scrape together even the smallest hint of hope from the stubborn ground. The steel bucket bit into the earth with its usual metallic grind, until, suddenly, everything stopped. The machine jolted violently. Parker's first thought was that he'd hit a buried boulder. It wouldn't be the first time the ground fought back, but this felt different. The bucket hadn't just met resistance, it struck something with massive, unmoving weight. The kind of impact that sends a deep vibration through the operator's seat, telling you whatever's down there is anything but normal. Parker pulled the boom back, dust swirling from the bucket's teeth. That's when he noticed it. A faint shimmer. Gold never announces itself with a blinding flash. It reveals itself in a quiet, stubborn glow, almost as if it knows it shouldn't exist in such quantity. Parker leaned closer, pulse quickening, and signaled the crew. They hurried over with shovels, pry bars, and even their bare hands, scraping at the earth to uncover more of the mysterious object. And the more they revealed, the stranger it became. This wasn't a nugget. It wasn't a chunk. It looked like the exposed spine of a buried giant, an enormous structure made entirely of gold. Suddenly, the cold didn't matter. The broken machinery didn't matter. Their failing gold totals didn't matter. For the first time all season, the ground was giving them something extraordinary. The crew felt it, the tension, the possibility, the electric excitement only miners truly understand. They didn't yet realize they were standing mere inches above a $90 million gold megastructure, but they knew something monumental had happened. And as the dust settled around them and Parker stared at the impossible golden glow, a new story began, one that would drag them deeper into danger, deeper into history, and deeper into the most astonishing discovery of their careers. As the crew began clearing away the first layer of frozen gravel, they immediately sensed something unusual, something almost too good to be real. The formation they uncovered wasn't behaving like any gold they'd ever encountered. It didn't sit in one spot. It didn't crumble apart like normal placer deposits. Instead, it continued outward. Mitch scraped cautiously at the packed dirt with a shovel, while Brennan used a steel pry bar to loosen the gravel. Every movement revealed more of the gleaming mass below. The shape emerging from the ground looked strangely alive, long, curved, and interlocking, like ancient roots that had somehow transformed into pure gold. Gold isn't supposed to form like this. Nuggets cluster, veins cut through rock, but this resembled a metallic backbone threading through the earth in a way no geology book could explain. Parker climbed out of the excavator and knelt beside the exposed formation. Even through the dirt, the gold shimmered faintly, heavy, dense, and defiant. He pressed his hand against it and felt something even stranger. It didn't vibrate like loose material. It didn't shift. It felt anchored deep below, as if the ground itself refused to let it go. The crew immediately switched tools. Using the excavator now was too dangerous. One wrong move could crack or crush a piece worth millions. So they turned to hand tools, shovels, brushes, even welding chisels to delicately chip away at the stubborn permafrost. With every inch they uncovered, the air around them grew heavier. A heavy tension settled over the crew, one none of them could ignore. Mitch finally stepped back and whispered what everyone else was too afraid to voice. "This isn't a nugget, it's a structure." The danger increased with every minute they continued. If the formation extended deeper, they might be standing over unstable ground. If they uncovered too much too quickly, the gravel walls could collapse. And if the gold structure connected to a hidden underground void, a sudden flood could bury everything, including them. But stopping wasn't an option anymore. They began documenting everything, filming, photographing, and measuring every inch of the golden mass. This was no longer about money. This was about understanding what they had stumbled upon. Something this rare belonged in history books and museum vaults, not just in a gold jar. As more of the formation emerged, its size became overwhelming. It continued plunging into the earth, curving into the darkness beyond where their lights could reach. No one could guess how far it stretched. 10 feet? 50? It could be the biggest single gold formation ever discovered. When the crew prepared to cut a new trench around it, one that might reveal the full extent of the buried giant, They had no idea they were stepping into the next phase of a discovery that would challenge everything they thought they knew about the Klondike. The moment Parker realized the scale of the strange structure, he knew it was far beyond what his crew could analyze alone. He made calls immediately. Within hours, trucks rolled into camp carrying 2 geologists, a mineralogist, and a surveying specialist. They hit the frozen ground with urgency. Discoveries like this, after all, don't wait. As the experts approached the trench, they stopped dead in their tracks. For a moment, there was only silence, followed by disbelief. What they saw wasn't a random placer deposit shaken loose by erosion, nor a standard gold vein trapped in quartz. It was far rarer, a dendritic megastructure, a natural crystallized network of gold formed millions of years ago through ancient volcanic forces. In mining terms, they had uncovered a miracle. Using delicate tools, hand lenses, UV lamps, microhammers, conductivity scanners, the specialists examined the exposed sections. Every test confirmed the same unbelievable truth. The gold's purity was exceptionally high, nearly flawless. It had formed during a moment of violent geological upheaval and somehow survived, perfectly preserved for ages. The formation spread through the gravel like frozen lightning, branching, twisting, merging in patterns no human could design. It wasn't just valuable, it was irreplaceable. The crew listened in stunned silence as the mineralogist gave the verdict. This is a once-in-a-century structure, maybe once in human history. The financial implications were staggering. Based on the visible depth, density, and the likely continuation underground, the structure's value approached $90 million. Yet even that number wasn't the most significant part. Scientifically, it was a treasure of immeasurable importance, something that belonged in museums, documentaries, and academic research for decades to come. Parker felt the weight of it all. This wasn't just gold. This was a piece of the Earth's ancient past, formed by volcanic fire, preserved through ice ages, and now uncovered in the middle of the Klondike. One careless move could destroy a priceless natural artifact. The risk was immense. Heavy equipment had to be pulled out of the area. The trench walls needed reinforcement. Survey lines were marked, soil cores were taken, and the operation slowed to a careful, surgical crawl. This wasn't mining anymore. This was preservation. An archaeological-level excavation of something that had slept untouched for millions of years. But the true shock hit when the geologists inspected the far edge of the formation. The dendritic branches didn't end. They continued deeper into the earth. They weren't uncovering gold. They were revealing a geological masterpiece that had been entombed for millions of years. Fatigue set in. Hands stiffened. Joints ached. But no one stepped away. By the time dawn finally broke, sunlight flooded the trench and revealed something almost otherworldly. The entire megastructure emerged at last, intact, glowing faintly across its full length, branching like golden roots frozen in time. The crew instinctively stepped back, stunned. Even covered in dust, the structure seemed to shine as if the earth itself had hidden a piece of the sun beneath Eureka Creek. Parker stared at it, overwhelmed by the realization that they had accomplished the impossible. They had uncovered and protected a treasure the world would never have believed without seeing. Cameras captured every moment. The exhaustion, the pride, the awe carved into each miner's expression. But just as they celebrated the successful extraction, a troubling question surfaced. The returning geologist examined the exposed structure again, and their readings revealed something Parker hadn't expected. The gold formation didn't stop where they thought. It continued deeper, much deeper. That discovery opened the next chapter, one filled with far greater danger and even more astonishing secrets. By the time the $90 million megastructure was finally lifted from the trench, news had already spread far beyond Eureka Creek. Word traveled faster than the crew could load it onto the transport rig. Satellite phones buzzed non-stop. Drone footage from the site exploded across social media. Within hours, the global mining world declared it what only the rarest finds ever become: the discovery of the century. The Klondike had produced fortunes before, but nothing like this. Geological institutes demanded high-resolution scans. Museums from Vancouver to London begged for temporary custody so they could display the structure behind bulletproof glass. Private collectors, men known for buying entire mines to acquire a single nugget, sent representatives carrying contracts as thick as bedrock. The air buzzed with offers, evaluations, and negotiations worth more than most miners see in a lifetime. Suddenly, every machine on the site, wash plants, excavators, dozers, seemed transformed. They weren't just tools. They were the instruments that had unearthed a hidden chapter of Earth's history. And the miners who ran them felt a pride that went far beyond gold counts or end-of-season totals. This discovery wasn't just another highlight for Parker. It was the culmination of everything he had ever risked, every broken machine he'd paid for, every sleepless night spent worrying over budgets, every season that nearly ruined him. It validated the instincts that had pushed him from a teenager working in his grandfather's shadow to one of the most recognized names in modern gold mining. And with that final revelation, Parker and his crew found themselves standing at the threshold of a new chapter, one that would lead them into more dangerous ground, higher stakes, and a discovery that could challenge everything the mining world believed about the Klondike.